channel at Kathleen's Trodden Trail, and today is a lovely Thursday, November the 15th. We're having, so let's see, a week from today is Thanksgiving, right? And I'm down to the point, and this will change, but I'm to the point of being ready for Thanksgiving to be over because it's, you know, a lot to get ready for 24 people. We're having 24 people over, and it'll be great fun, but it's just a lot. And so I'm like thinking, okay, once Thanksgiving's over, then you know, life will be easy again, and really then Christmas is coming, and then a million other things after that are coming. So but I have a few things to show you really quickly, and I'm sure this will be the last time that I'll be able to film before Thanksgiving. So I've paint all over my hands. I decided that I was going to make ornaments, Christmas ornaments for all of our guests at Thanksgiving, and kind of had a rough idea of not cross-stitch ornaments, just like wood and metal and painted, that sort of thing. And kind of had an idea of how I wanted to do it, and I ended up making about 35 ornaments because only about half of them turned out reasonable enough, and the rest I'm still not even convinced I'm going to give them. But so I've been painting. I've been doing some chalk painting. I've been I did a little patch up on the front of the house earlier. I have like I want to say spackle, but the putty stuff, I don't know. Anyway, I have two finishes, or five FFOs, 3 of which are cross-stitched. So this was the one for October, and I loved it, and I printed it off as soon as it came out, and then never got around to stitching it, so I finally got it stitched. I think this is called Moon Over Crow, and it's, you know, because it's the freebie and it's the chart, I don't have it in front of me here, but so I bought a piece of this orange fabric. I actually bought 4 pieces of this orange fabric. It was just in a little bin at Julie's, kind of a remnant bin, and I thought it was so fun looking and so cool, and this was, you know, like early September. So I bought a piece for myself and a piece for Nicole and Jen and Marlene, and gave those each to them when we met up in Little Rock back in September, and then kind of reserved mine to find the perfect Halloween piece, which never got stitched. And so when I saw Moon Over Crow, I thought, okay, well, I'll go ahead and use that orange fabric, because to me, November is kind of an orange month. Well, and because this wasn't a jack-o'-lantern, I thought it was okay to do it for, you know, for November. Well, then, of course, none of the called-for colors worked because they were all orange. So I thought, well, I'm going to do a blue pumpkin because I have a couple of blue pumpkins out front. And, yeah, I texted Colleen last night as I was finishing this up, and I said, I am getting ready to finish the world's ugliest cross-stitch ever. I really, nothing about this works. Yeah. You know what? It is what it is. I found this at Joann's Fabrics, I think. Yeah, I believe I found this at Joann's Fabrics a couple months ago, and I thought it kind of worked to tone it down a little bit. I did the worst job on the back of this ever. I'll put a tag on it anyway at some point, but wrap some twine around it, and yeah, I mean, it was a freebie. It's not like it's an heirloom, major heirloom, but I do have, and I'll try to insert a picture here, I do have a big bowl full of little smalls, and so I needed a couple more things. And then the November piece was freebie, P-I-E-C-E, I'm a horrible speller, was Give Thanks. It was this piece. You know, when you're trying to rush and finish something, you guys will see it right off the bat. There's a major mistake in this. There are actually 2 mistakes in this. Give and Thanks isn't in the same floss. Oh, I don't know. I did the moon on this one in corn husk, and I loved that for the moon. And I thought that corn husk kind of reminded me of the colors that the leaves were in Minnesota when we went out for the Minnesota retreat, for the Midwest Cross Stitchers retreat. So I decided to use that same corn husk for this leaf to kind of remind me of that. Also bought this fabric at Joann's some time ago, and then this fabric on the back, and I'll put a tag here. I loved that. I thought this is cheap Joann's fabric. It's nothing nice, but yeah, so there's give thanks. Again, it is what it is. Okay, a piece that did turn out a little bit nicer is I FFO'd, and Caitlin, if you're watching, go away. I FFO'd Caitlin's and Caleb's Christmas ornament. This is the Kathy Haberman hands-on design chalk for Christmas. Silver bells. There are 3 in this set. I would like to stitch them all, but I really do struggle with that dark fabric, and there are about 1 million mistakes in the stitching on this. It's been completely fudged from the word silver up, but anyway, I finished it. Colleen ordered us some fabric from a store in, I believe, in Grand Island, in Nebraska, and it came earlier this week, and we made plans to meet up today and exchange that fabric. And this was one of the pieces of fabric, this really neat retro-y looking winter scene kind of fabric, and so I thought that went well with the red and the navy blue or black, and that worked really well for the back of this. So that's done. I felt very relieved because we will be celebrating Christmas with Caitlin and Caleb on Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend. The biggest relief is the stockings are finished, and I texted anyone who would listen to me when these were finished because I practically cried. They took me all day to, not all day, they took me from about 6:30 in the morning until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon to finish, to FFO. But of course, with a piece that's going to be turned into a Christmas stocking or have some kind of dimension on it, it's a whole different story, and the finishing on something like that is much harder. I forgot to take a picture of it, but I finished a close rug cooking friend of mine named Elaine did a long hooked piece with pumpkins on it, and had me finish it into a pillow for her. And so I had that. I got that finished a couple weeks ago, and I know it turned out okay. It wasn't my favorite ever finishing. I mean, her work was beautiful, but it's just something that is one of those things that takes practice and time and effort and energy and know-how and watching lots of tutorials and all of that kind of stuff. So it was kind of the same with the stockings, and I couldn't find any tutorials on YouTube or anywhere else to help me with finishing hooked stockings. And I've made stockings, quilted stockings, many, many, many times, and so I decided to kind of use that same idea and finished them that same way. And one of the problems with sewing on a hooked piece is that it is next to impossible to get right up next to your hooking without catching your hooking in your seam. And so you have to leave a little bit of space between the last row of your hooking and where your seam is. And then, of course, when you do that, then the linen shows through. And it's not a soft, pretty linen like the linen that we cross-stitch on. This is a very coarse, heavy-duty linen. And so then you have to have some way of finishing that, otherwise it looks like it's not finished. It makes it look like the seam is showing through. Plus, for a stocking and something that's going to hang, you don't want things poking through the linen, right? But I didn't really want to whip stitch all the way around and then all the way around the top edge either. So I kind of came up with a compromise, and I used cording. And so here are the finished stockings. I guess I'm going to have to stand way back. Lots of people have already seen these because, as I said, I texted everyone who would listen to me and with pictures. So this is Caitlin's, obviously, and so the front is hooked. The back I finished with a piece of flannel, which I really love. I got this at Joann's, stood in line on Sunday after church for like, I don't know, it seemed like it was hours. I'm sure it was probably about 15 minutes. But it seemed like I stood there for hours because Joann's was having a big sale and everybody came after church probably thinking it wouldn't be busy. Anyway, so that's the back. And then I finished the inside with velvet. And so they both have a piece of red velvet on one side and a piece of black velvet on the other side, because when I had only enough velvet in each color to do one stocking, and when I cut the red velvet, I cut it the wrong way for one of the sides, and so the nice velvety, crushed velvety side wasn't going to be on the outside. So I compromised and put a piece of each, but I like having stockings that have the velvet inside. And then the little loop is done with velvet, and then I used a cording to hide that seam. I'm not going to show you this very close up because it's done a bit primitively, but I used the cording to hide the seam or hide the linen that you can kind of see. So that's Caitlin's, and this is Caleb's. And his is done exactly the same way. I also redid when I got Caitlin's done. I got Caitlin's done on Saturday night, and I took pictures. I put them side by side. You know, they were still flat, not finished into stockings, but just finished hooking. And when I put them side to side to send a picture to, I don't know, I've talked about her before, but she doesn't do floss tube videos. But Dory Kehoe, and many of you know her from retreats and whatnot, and she is a commenter. We had been chatting all day, and I was so happy to have them done, and I took a picture and sent her a picture, and then when I looked at the picture, I could really see some flaws in the snow, which there's quite a bit of snow in Caleb's, and so I reverse hooked a lot of that snow, both in the snowman and in the slope, or the down here, and rehooked it with some more of the white that I used, the white wool that I used in Caitlin's, and I was very, very happy with how that turned out. So, and then his, his back is exactly the same, and then his inside is exactly the same. I got 3 yards of this so that if they have children, and she eventually wants stockings, matching stockings for the kiddos, I'll be able to put the same thing on the back, and then I'll just have to buy some more velvet for the insides. But I'm hugely relieved that those are done. Happy with how they turned out. I did learn a lot. I don't want to do one again for a long time, but I do feel like I can do one again, at some point in time, and kind of more know what I'm doing this time around. So that was a lot of fun. I also, on Saturday, found a website that sold patterns for hooked Christmas stockings. So I know we looked and looked a year ago and couldn't find anything, so I don't know if those are new or not, but anyway, that's it. I'm already over 15 minutes, so I'm gonna have to edit this down a little bit. I'm sure that won't be hard because I'm blathering because I'm tired, but I want to just wish everyone just a happy Thanksgiving. I especially to all of the sweet and lovely people that I met at the Minnesota retreat. It's so hard to really keep in touch with everybody, and I just miss seeing people and talking to people and chatting with people and hearing people, and I've been having a lot of fun watching floss tube videos about the Minnesota retreat, but there's some people that don't do floss tube videos, so I'm thinking we're gonna have to plan some stitchy meetups here before too long, so that'd be a lot of fun. So, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope you get some stitching in, and eat lots of good food, whatever that may be, whatever that means for you. If you don't live in the States and you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, just hope you enjoy the day and the week and this time of year, and I will talk to you soon. Take care, guys. Bye.